Well, good morning and welcome to this session of Administrator Issues and Updates on September 9th, 2025. County Administrator Gary Schmidt, would you please call the roll for us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Roll call. Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Commissioner Helm.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Present.
Chair Roberts.
Here. Thank you. I will now recess as the Board of County Commissioners, convene as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. Gary, please introduce that first item for us.
Yes, your meeting as the Water Environment Services Board of Directors. This is a future request for consent agenda, but because it's new to you, we're bringing it to you first at issues to make sure you're comfortable before we put it on the agenda, as is our practice. The topic is approval of a board resolution for exemption from competitive bidding for the Tri-City Influent Pump Station Expansion Project. There's no fiscal impact. There's no county general funds involved. Again, you're not deciding this today. You're just agreeing to put it on a future consent agenda. Greg Geist, Director of Water Environment Services, Ryan Rice, the Procurement Manager for Clackamas County. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you, Directors. Actually, what we're asking for today will be a public hearing on Thursday. So this is our influent pump station, basically hundreds of miles of pipe, over 100,000 people ultimately drain to our Tri-City facility. It all goes through our influent pump station, and we need to replace virtually the whole thing. It's been in operation since 1985. It's a very complex project, so rather than doing a design bid build, we want to do a construction management general contractor, CMGC, to bring in a contractor early in the process to work out all the details. That will result in a guaranteed maximum price and reduce risk for the project overall. I'll hand it off to Ryan.
Yeah, that was very well said. My name is Ryan Rice. I'm the procurement manager here at the county, and what we're looking to do is, in a traditional construction project, we would just do a low dollar bid. That's what we're talking about. And that is a simple specification supplied, everything's equal across the board, dollar wins that contract in that scenario. Projects like this that have a lot of twists and turns that are far more complicated, we can't really do that. So we're looking for a subjective scoring criteria. So it's a little misleading when we say it's bypassing the bid process. We're not really doing that. We're still doing a competition. We're still doing a request for proposals. We're still doing subjective scoring, but we're not just basing our selection on a low dollar. So that's what this public hearing is about, is to let people know we're doing an alternative delivery, and we're seeking your permission on that.
Great.
All right, so let's go right here. A public hearing this Thursday?
Yes.
Did you already notice that?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got way ahead of me, Greg. So that may or may not happen this Thursday, so we're going to fix that after this meeting. So this is a question, Commissioners, if you have concerns with this process.
Right. I'll turn to my colleagues' questions, concerns.
No, other than I'm a little surprised that, so it's not on, it wasn't posted then?
It was not posted.
So there's no rush, apparently.
No, I mean, we could wait, but I honestly don't know how that was scheduled. That's just what's in the staff report, is that we have a public hearing scheduled for the 11th.
All right, so it's not happening this Thursday. We will, if you are in agreement with this moving forward, we will schedule it as an upcoming public hearing. When I say get ahead, we start with the board. If they're comfortable, then we schedule a public hearing. So we'll correct that offline, but the question today is if you're comfortable moving this to a future public hearing.
I don't see any objection.
Okay, we will move this to a future public hearing yet to be scheduled.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So I will now adjourn as a Water Environment Services Board of Directors and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners and turn to Gary.
Thank you. You're now meeting again as the Board of County Commissioners. Next is another one, a future consent agenda item that is new. So we're bringing it to you first to see if you're comfortable before it is scheduled. It is illegal marijuana market enforcement grant application for the Sheriff's Office. Under Sheriff Jesse Ashby is here, and he's bringing a guest, and they'll introduce themselves and give a brief update on the proposal.
Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Thank you, Chair Schmidt, Craig Roberts, and Commissioners. Thank you.
I'll give you a hard time on that one.
Thank you for having us here today. We're going to talk to you about our desire to apply for a grant for marijuana. So I'm just going to read a little bit to you, and then we'll get into the weeds if you have any specific questions. So the purpose of the Illegal Marijuana Market Enforcement Grant Program is to support local law enforcement agencies and district attorneys' offices in their efforts to address illegal marijuana markets in Oregon as defined by Senate Bill 1544. The Illegal Marijuana Market Enforcement Grant Program assists local communities with the costs incurred addressing unlawful marijuana cultivation or distribution operations, including investigations, prosecutions, and services for victims, survivors of labor trafficking, and/or worker abuse. So that's the little write-up. Specifically, well, I guess I won't assume that you have any questions, so if you have any.
All right.
Who's
Commissioner-
with you, Under Sheriff?
Oh, I apologize. This is Lieutenant Halsey, and he runs our drug team.
Great. Commissioner West.
Under Sheriff Ashby and Lieutenant Halsey, thank you for being here today. I do, of course, totally support this. I'm curious, though, if we are applying for the grant because we're seeing some concerns around this within our county, and if you could speak to that and the applicability within Clackamas.
Yeah, good morning. I would say that we are seeing an increased number in large-scale operations. So the purpose of this grant is to help us with some resources to be able to combat that.
What we're seeing specifically, too, is a lot of marijuana leaving the state. So this is not to address, we understand that marijuana is legal in this state, and we're not looking to get involved in those people using marijuana legal. We're talking about, black market operations that are transporting marijuana out of state to perhaps states that don't have legal marijuana. We're talking about money laundering, and we're also starting to see a very large human trafficking component. And by human trafficking, I mean labor human trafficking. And so those are the things that are, I don't know, your offices are calling my office quite frequently with constituents that are having these large marijuana grows in their neighborhoods and asking the sheriff's office what we can do about them. And we have quite the list growing of those addresses. And this is just looking for some help, for some stuff from dollars. There's no general fund money coming out of this, and we won't use it for any people. We'll just use it for materials and services, some overtime, and for our investigation costs.
Great.
Thank you.
Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, thank you. I too support the effort, but I do want to, I guess I have a question in general, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, and that is that the finances, sometimes our different departments apply for grants, or sometimes they don't apply for grants because it's not really worth the effort. It's not worth the lift, right? The money that comes in is insignificant amount compared to the cost. So you mentioned it would help cover materials and overtime.
Yes, sir.
So that's on an as-needed basis? What's the financial moving pieces of this grant? How much money does it actually provide for us? And then have you done a cost analysis of what it would be for that overtime and things like that? Is this worth pursuing, is essentially? And what are the finances that justify it?
So the total grant covers a 2-year period, and we're looking at a total of around $1.2 million is what our initial ask is. The grant program itself has been significantly cut, so they're, I think, advising people that are applying for the grant to be prepared for a reduction in what they receive. We have never applied for this grant before, obviously, but other agencies, mainly Southern Oregon, have funded positions, have received quite a bit of funding from this program, has been pretty successful. So this is kind of our first go at it. So we're going to be kind of learning as we go. However, the budget that we lined out is going to cover a significant part of it. That is personnel, and the analysis we did there is just sort of basing, I believe, two extra days a month to be focused on marijuana enforcement of these large-scale operations. Another significant portion of the funding is going to go towards equipment that will hopefully make processing those operations significantly more efficient to allow us to do things a little bit quicker.
If I may, just a little bit more too. So I think these marijuana grows, we're doing them already, and we're paying for them out of the sheriff's office, general fund overtime budget, and so this helps us with that. And then the second point, when we're talking about marijuana, I think our last grow, and I hope I don't get us in too much trouble, but I think that we seized close to 7,000 pounds of marijuana. So now we're in possession of 7,000 pounds of marijuana, which getting rid of 7,000 pounds of marijuana is actually more difficult than I would have thought until I learned about it. So that's the equipment that he's talking about that we're going to use to get rid of this, so we don't have to store it in our property room, quite frankly.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you do this, but why would we only be applying overtime hours to this operation? I mean, not absent the grant,
Right.
right?
We're
Absent-
not, we're not. There's so, but we're also, the drug team is also focusing on fentanyl and focusing on heroin and on cocaine. And so this has just kind of popped up. This is becoming more and more, taking up more of our time. And so that we can continue to do the direction that the sheriff has as it relates to fentanyl and some of those other large-scale investigations, but also be responsive to the community members that have these marijuana grows. We just need a little bit extra. And we just figured this would be a good way to kind of get a little bit of that money without causing the general fund any additional burden.
So is this type of grant you can actually just bill based on, just use it as you use it or not use it? I mean, you can apply, you can actually bill it, so to speak?
It's a CJC grant, very similar to like the organized retail theft grant. So we apply for it. They will give us a chunk of money. We have to outline to the CJC how we're going to spend the money. And then as long as we stay within, obviously, the money that they give us, we can kind of use it any way we want, obviously with some parameters.
Okay. Thank you.
I just had one question. As a former member on the HIDA board, I was kind of curious, kind of are they looking at helping support that as a DTO? Do you get any funding to kind of help support that effort, or are they on some of the other types of trafficking?
Yeah, I would say HIDA supports that effort as well. So it would be two different pots, of course. But as far as stat purposes go, and one of our goals actually within the grant is to identify and disrupt or dismantle a drug trafficking organization or a money laundering organization, which we see a lot of in these operations. So for stat purposes, certainly we would be reporting back to HIDA. Funding, as you're very familiar with, is still part of that process too.
Great. Because that's a lot of marijuana. So, yeah, and I'm sure it's part of some big organization. So, great work. Any other questions,
Yeah,
colleagues?
just one, I'm looking at, has this already been submitted?
No,
Because
this is
it's
just,
got
we're
six-
just seeking permission to fill out the paperwork for the grant.
Okay, because I see, I don't know, maybe I'm reading the wrong thing, but I see the signatures dated in August.
Yes, so there was a initial, the best way to describe it is we apply for the ability to submit a final application. So we apply for our interest, and that is reviewed, and we were given feedback based off the initial application, and then the final application was submitted to CJC yesterday. However, they are holding that until we receive approval. So we haven't done a final go-ahead, essentially, until we receive approval from.
So it hasn't been submitted?
Correct.
Okay.
Commissioner West.
Just resources for the important issue. If you're shipping marijuana out of state across state lines, am I right that now becomes a federal issue too? And I wonder if there's additional federal help or support for, you guys do a lot with a little at the sheriff's office. So I'm just thinking if there is opportunities to collaborate with, I don't know what department of law enforcement within the federal government would support, but it seems like a pretty big issue if there's that much illegal growing and it's going across state lines that have different laws than us.
We currently partner with the FBI as part of our task force.
Okay.
So whether it rises to the level of federal prosecution, of course, lies with the AUSA's office. We are seeing an increased interest with the labor trafficking element of it. So we're hoping to get there.
Is there a grant, do we ever get, I'm just naive, do we ever get federal grant opportunities for support to deal with these state/federal issues?
Well, as they mentioned, the HIDA is the high-intensity drug trafficking area, and we're a
Okay.
part of that. So that brings some federal money in.
Okay.
And then we have task force members on FBI and DEA. So we also have good partnerships, and the DEA can help us out with things as well as things cross state lines.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yep.
Great. Any other questions? So Gary, am I correct? This will be on September 18th?
Yes.
Business meeting then, for consent agenda for final approval. So, so thank you both very much. Appreciate the information and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gary, what is next?
All right, thank you. Next is the Recovery Campus Monthly Update. Cindy Becker, Project Manager in County Administration, will present.
Good morning, everyone. So I have two things today. One is the update, and part of that is to request your approval to apply for a grant from the Oregon Department of Energy. And what I'd like to do is just briefly review that. This is the fourth round of these grants. This is the Community Renewable Grant Program, and is accepting applications from public bodies, tribes, et cetera. Up to $1 million is available for approved construction projects. Our grant application would be for $300,000. Essentially, it's 50% of what your cost is, and to do this work for the Recovery Campus is $600,000, so that's why we're applying for $300,000. The grant application is due on the 19th, and the award would be on January 2026. Funding will be used to support up to 188, I think that's kilowatts of photovoltaic, I don't know what this is, rooftop panels. I mean, what, you know what they look like, you know what I'm talking about.
Solar.
Yeah, solar panels. So I'm requesting your permission to submit an application for this grant.
All right. Questions, colleagues?
Please don't ask me any questions.
Could you please explain what a?
All right. Well, not seeing any questions. No concerns. We'll place this on the September 11th business meeting consent agenda for final approval.
Great.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Phew, got that one. Okay, so the update on the Recovery Campus. We have, the Planning Commission has scheduled a zoning hearing for September 29th. And then the board hearing is scheduled for October 14th. Unfortunately, I will be in Israel on the 14th, and so hopefully, I'm not sure which will be calmer, but anyway, so hopefully everything will go fine with the Planning Commission, and it would come to you on the 14th. And then we held a brainstorming session with you on about the other 2.5 acres of the property. That was just an initial session. I expect to come back to you and have more conversations about the use of this property. The funding, the federal earmark was approved for $2.5 million. I'm still waiting to find out when that will actually be released. It was approved before, and it was rescinded, and now it's approved again. So hopefully this one will be real. We had looked into shelter funding that was approved this past session to see if that was available for this project, and unfortunately, our project does not meet their definitions. And then we had a really good meeting yesterday with the chair and Commissioner West and members of H3S with the federal HUD regional administrator and staff. They were very excited about not only what we're doing at the Recovery Campus, but they had a quick tour of the housing projects, and they seemed to be really positive about that. They said they would be happy to help us. I, of course, in my subtle way, said how. And so we didn't get any promise of money, but we're hoping that we will be able to, that door is open and we can come back as there are opportunities. I don't know, Chair and Commissioner, if you wanted to add anything to that.
Commissioner West.
I found the meeting to be incredibly enlightening. And a number of the people that were on our summit, our recovery summit, have a close connection with this administrator. And some of them have actually joined HUD. And so they know Clackamas County. They were a part of our panel. And so there is, I believe, they genuinely were interested in, and I think impressed by the efforts that we were taking. They were completely on board and understood what a recovery-oriented system of care was. And they were recovery-minded individuals. And so I think that there was a lot of openness for support from HUD. And trying to figure what that means specifically, we have yet to see or know. But it was, I walked away somewhat optimistic that there was an opportunity to really collaborate with the administration and HUD moving forward with all the big things we're doing. So that was my impression. And so, like Dr. Marbut is now hired, I believe, as some type of advisor to
Homelessness advisor.
homeless advisor to
yeah.
to HUD, and so Dr. Marbut was on our panel, and so he's worked for multiple administrations as a homeless czar and other things. So that was, and we have a good relationship with him to this day. So that was also something that seemed to highlight in the meeting was that relationship we had with him, and they didn't realize that we knew him so well. So which was good. I felt like.
Yeah. I think, I just might add, I think we all kind of left pretty jazzed kind of about how things went. And I think just to highlight, Christopher Patterson is the Northwest Regional Administrator. I'll just read you a little bit about him, but U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, to give you an idea. And he is very passionate professional. He's over 25 years of experience building companies in the field of health and human services. He's also the founder and CEO of Breakthrough, a specialized residential youth treatment service agency with proven, competent, compassionate professionals who provide a wide range of client-based services in the Spokane, Washington area. He's also created a company called Steadfast Supported Living, which supports developmentally delayed adults who need unique services to achieve self-sufficiency and independence for better quality of life. And he's also, Patterson has previously worked in the financial industry supporting public and private partnership solutions for mental health, homelessness, addiction treatment, and other issues affecting communities. And I think we were pretty impacted by, he's visited a lot of places around the country and was really inspired by the things that were happening here in Clackamas County, one of which is also the CHAW system of tracking individuals. He said that isn't normal, giving us the ability to really stay on top of individuals that are cycling through our system and ways we can provide better. So, and was willing to step up and help us. So I was thrilled. We can always use money. So I see Commissioner Savas has a comment. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm looking here, I guess at the bottom of page 2, page with some of the highlights, but above the highlights under funding, it says governor's build or bill earmarked 65 million. What's the status of that? Is that something that it was a bill?
So
Or
it's,
or they
yes.
billed us?
Yes, no, it should say, it shouldn't have the ED on there. It should
Okay.
say bill. It's House Bill 2059. It was initially, the governor had asked for $60 million. It was approved for $65 million. Excuse me, $90 million. It was approved for $65 million. We have been tracking that because of all the stuff with transportation that hasn't been kind of, top of mind. There was a phone call meeting with Oregon Health Authority 2 days ago, I think, or excuse me, last week, and they're looking at making final decisions by November, and our project is, they're certainly aware of our project is in the mix, but no commitment until then.
Okay, so the 20 million that we're advocating for is from the 65?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. And when it gets getting back, maybe you already said it, because I was focused on this and maybe distracted. The federal earmark that was approved was for how much?
2.5 million.
2.5 million. Is that what we were asking, or were we hoping
Yes.
for more?
Well, we initially asked for more, and they asked us to reduce it, so we reduced it to 2.5 million.
Okay, I thought we had to ask for 10, didn't we?
No, that was at the state level.
State level, okay. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Helm?
Cindy, thank you for this update. I didn't see anyone here, and we brought it up last time, and I think Commissioner Schrader had brought up the possibility of putting a kitchen, a commercial kitchen in the recovery center, and I don't see an update on that. And we talked about the logistics of trying to move food between the other center and this, and I'm still kind of hung up on, I think that it needs to be in this space.
So we have talked about, I have weekly meetings with the team, architectural team. That is, we did bring that up. And so what I've asked them to do is, I said, it's not, they've been waiting for, there's a kitchen consultant, I guess, who knows? Anyway, there's someone who consults on kitchen design. And they've been waiting to get this person. And I've asked them to put together two options, and to put with a warming kitchen and the emergency supply and a full kitchen, and to put that with not only design but the cost, so you can see that. And the cost will not just be for the equipment, but it's going to be staffing. So it is in the hopper, and we would bring it as part of the next phase of design. So we've got 3 phases of design. We presented the schematic to you. We will then present design development, and with that will be the options around the kitchen.
Okay, my only follow-up comment to that is, and I know we've all been in restaurants with commercial kitchens and sat at the counters where they pump out a lot of food in a very, very small amount of space, is that we don't go over the top, because I think the one we did visit was grand. It was a very giant, oversized kitchen, and I'm not asking for something that is giant, but, you know, I just think having something there for, you know, on-site is going to be way more beneficial than having something off-site, so.
And you know, you'll get no disagreement from me. I think the question is going to be in terms of cost, because to be honest, that wasn't what was included in the budget that they submitted. So there may be a cost impact, and I just want to present both those to you, and you'll see what you want to do. Yes.
Commissioner West.
One other source of funding that we have been talking about that didn't come up with Commissioner Savas's questions that I want to make sure is, speaking with Metro, there were funding that may be available to us from Metro, and they seem to be, I see you nodding. Do you have any updates or thoughts on that funding we had talked about?
So obviously, I'm tangential, not transitional, tangential. There's lots of conversations and stuff and timing, and we're trying not to get ahead of them, because my understanding, the last I heard, was they're still in decision-making modes about things, and so we're just kind of waiting.
Is there anything that, as commissioners, we can do with the Metro counselors to keep this forefront as a priority for that funding that's available?
So my suggestion would be to maybe have a debriefing with H3S to look at what those conversations have been, so that you're aware of who's been talking to who about what before you move forward. And so I would suggest having that conversation first with Mary and Shannon and myself and you and whomever, and then
Just a lot of we're braiding funds, and there's a lot of strands.
and there's a lot of hair pulling with the braids. So yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The other, just in terms of funding, the chair reached out to the hospitals, Providence and Kaiser, and the respective foundations, and we have, and they have responded. And it looks like we're going to be meeting with Kaiser in later October, and then hopefully Providence in September. So we're just, Kimberly is working on getting those dates. So that is a conversation to talk about. And these are with higher-ups, I guess. And the conversation is to talk about the Recovery Campus, not only what it can do for the community, but what it can do for the hospitals, because we know that a lot of folks with substance use disorder and mental health are being in their emergency rooms. It's tough for them, they don't want them, and so it's educational, and it'll be part of our Dialing for Dollars campaign. So I'm happy that they responded. Last but not least is communication. Obviously, you know that you toured the Cherry Blossom facility. One of the things that we did that was really cool 2 weeks ago is we convened a group of people with lived experience to give us input about the design, the exterior design and interior design. So the peers came in, we talked to them, we went through everything with them and asked them, what worked, what didn't work, how do we make this something that people feel welcome to come into, and so we had a really good conversation. There was, I think, only one thing that somebody asked us that we didn't really like, and the one thing was they wanted a fire pit, and we were like, well, maybe that's not a great idea, so we probably won't go with the fire pit. But a lot of the other recommendations they have were really, we're really happy to hear about them, and we'll be making some changes to accommodate those. And we're continuing to meet with the task group, and then we'll set up another meeting with the Good Neighbor Group. That's it.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much,
Okay.
Cindy.
Thank you.
Gary, what's next?
Thank you. Next is your board State of the County event. A review of the proposed format, Tonya Holowetsky, Director of Public and Government Affairs, will present. There's a memo in your packet. Go ahead, please, Tonya.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
As Gary mentioned, I'm here to review the proposed format and run of show for the 2025 State of the County event and ask for your approval. The event, this year's event will be held at the Clackamas County Community College, and we will be hosting it on November 5th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And as I mentioned, we are hosting this for the first time in several years. In the past, if you remember, it was hosted by Chambers of Commerce, and we were the main presenters. In February, you had agreed that it was time for us to own this event, which I wholeheartedly agree, and I'm excited that this year will set the stage for a new format, establishing it as the preeminent annual address outlining the county's achievements and strategic priorities. So this year, and each year, we will determine a theme to be reflected in the run of show. I think it's important with an hour time to be able to be very focused on what we want our message to be. And this year, we are proposing a theme, building a solid foundation for a secure and bright future. This theme will help us showcase the investments the county is making to stand up a recovery-oriented system of care and other priorities and goals outlined in your newly established strategic plan. The meeting will be interactive. It will incorporate multimedia elements to make it more engaging, and it will be moderated by an external MC. We are partnering with the Office of Economic Development, and we will be reaching out to the local chambers of commerce and business associations to promote the event to their respective memberships. This is basically in honor of our last of the tradition we've had with the state of the county. We want to make sure that the business community feels that they are a stakeholder, because they are a stakeholder in the future and the success of our county. And for to accommodate that and to demonstrate that they are valuable, we will be providing a welcome area where each chamber within the county can engage with participants and offer information. So while it's not just one chamber focused on one chamber, it's focused on all chambers within the county. We will also PGA will promote the event through its channels, and our attendance goal extends beyond the business sector and will include other important stakeholders, such as local and state elected officials, as well as prominent county stakeholders. To support the event, we will develop talking points and scripts to help you prepare for the event. And so with that, I'd like to move to the actual proposal and the run of show to just walk you through it briefly and then answer any questions you may have. So we'll start the meeting at 5:30 p.m. with registration and a social half hour. The Office of Economic Development will be funding that. We'll have hors d'oeuvres and so that people have something to eat. In the meantime, there will be a slideshow that'll be running in the background, which will basically be welcoming all the guests to the event, setting the stage, the theme, listing the chambers, and other VIP stakeholders who are attending. At 6 o'clock, the MC will open the event, welcoming everyone, giving a rundown of what will occur, cover logistics, thank all the VIPs, and then speak to the event's theme. And from that, introduce a video. And the video will focus on current projects and highlights of 2025. So this is basically starting to foreshadow what is to come in the coming hour. And it will be similar in the style to our end-of-year video that PGA produces, basically highlighting some of our key successes and success stories. After that, the event will transition into a moderated discussion where the MC will introduce you all to the stage. You will be, hopefully we are going to have comfortable armchairs where you'll be able to sit in a more relaxed setting. And then that sets the stage for a 20-minute moderated discussion that will highlight many of the accomplishments that were showcased in the video, and then narrows the conversation into one of our biggest endeavors underway, which is our ongoing efforts and investments into the recovery-oriented system of care. The built infrastructure, the new services, and the future recovery campus that we just talked about before my presentation. And then we're hoping to be able to show corresponding images, probably, if technology allows, that as we're mentioning these highlights, that the actual visual representation of them is visible to the audience. And some of those would be the Clackamas Village, Lake Road Health Clinic, Caring Place, Stabilization Center, and of course, the new recovery campus. And the conversation will close with another video that demonstrates who the county is helping with these efforts. So we're all doing this for someone, and we're doing this for a reason. And those will be, it'll be basically, here's who we are helping with all of this investment and commitment. And the second video then will highlight the need for the recovery-oriented system of care and the recovery campus in particular, featuring clips from successful some videos that we have produced over time, and along with testimonials from individuals. The video will also include aspirational comments from all of you, who will allow you to weave your vision into this newly adopted strategic priorities and goals. So kind of tying it all together with this video. That will close the moderated discussion and the conversation, and we will then open it up to a Q&A with the audience. Typically, the county State of Unions don't have a Q&A, but I know that this is very important to you, so we are including it in here as well. And again, the MC will facilitate a Q&A session based on questions that we've gathered in advance. And we'll group them and then have at least one question from each of the group categories, try to address those. We'll have closing remarks right before 7 p.m. and then close out the event at 7 p.m. So with that, I'm going to open it up to questions and comments.
And you do have a lot of questions up here. I'm not sure who came on first, but Martha, can I start with you?
Sure. Overall, good, but I guess my concern is, I mean, I know the recovery center is key and one of the biggest transformational things we're doing, but I'm not sure we're talking about the other elements of our strategic plan in a way that really gives them the same level or weight of that. Okay, because when we have our strategic plan, healthy people, recovery-oriented system of care, so we're doing that, but then where's talking about public trust and good government, and then we have nothing about economic development and child care.
That actually will all be woven into this second video. So the moderated discussion will be about the recovery-oriented system of care, and then we're going to transition it into the priorities that you find are most important, and that we're going to have interviews with each one of you. We're working with Spirit Media, a multimedia firm, and we're working with them right now. We have interviews scheduled for all of you in October, and that is where you will be speaking to those priorities that are of high importance to each one of you individually. And our goal is to be able to cover each of the priorities through that video.
Okay, because I know previously what we had really done was, so you're doing it more in a different media rather than just having us directly talk at a podium at this time via
Correct.
media being a video
that is
as
correct.
opposed to, and that's how you're planning to cover the other
Yeah.
significant elements of our strategic
Correct.
plan.
And I would expect that some of those will come up in the Q&A as well.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Helm?
Yeah, actually, that was on my list, Martha. I said this whole thing seems to be, I'm so excited about the recovery campus and the recovery-oriented system of care, but we have a lot of other strategic plans and goals, and to focus on this alone seems like we're selling ourselves short on our job for the next few years. So I just want to raise that concern. at the welcome area where you're going to have the chambers of commerce, are you going to have also like the OCBA, CCBA, DOCA, are other entities welcome to that welcome area too?
And those are our,
The Oregon City Business Alliance,
Of
Clackamas
course.
County Business
Of course.
Alliance,
They're all-
Downtown Oregon City Business Association.
we can certainly have.
It would make
We
sense
can
to
make it
kind of
broader.
have.
We can expand it
Yeah,
beyond
if there
beyond
were
that.
other,
Yeah.
and are they going to have like tables set up?
We're-
And
We will have tables set up, but it won't be a big exhibit area. The space is not big enough for all of that. And again, I see this as our transition year. I'm hoping that, we will test this new model, and then by next year, we'll have a little bit more time to plan this out and design it bigger. Right now, we're kind of keeping it on a lower scale, just to kind of test this approach. But, I mean, the vision, of course, is, like I said, to make this an event that everyone who is vested in the success of the county comes to listen and to hear and to learn.
okay, and then my final question, do you already have an external MC?
We have someone in mind. We haven't reached out to this person yet, so I hesitate to
No, that's all right. That's all right.
bring him to name.
Thank you, Tonya.
Yes.
Right, Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, I want to just echo a couple things that Commissioner Helm just discussed. I think that we have a lot of things going on, and I know that talking about what we have done in the rearview mirror, accomplishments, good things, and then also have an element of what we have going forward. Recovery Campus is something that we foresee being able to do, and we're very hopeful, and we're certainly marching forward, as Cindy just kind of laid out to us. Commissioner Helm, I want to just say here as a segue, attended the C4 meeting, thank you. And one of the things on the agenda was our priorities, our 10 priorities, and we spent about 30 minutes on that.
Yeah.
And we just scratched the surface, and a lot of interest, great discussion. Again, thank you for participating in that, Commissioner Helm.
And really, none of it had to do with the recovery-oriented citizen. People were focused on transportation and economic development.
Yeah. So my point is, and I've done a lot of these as a member of the commission, and prior to being on the commission, attended a number of how the county has laid out this. So I've seen, different variations of it along the way. And I'm also a person that I kind of learned, I asked the audience typically how they thought it went or what we could have done better and so on. So I don't mind some of the layout here, but I think what's woefully lacking in time is the Q&A. I think the most valuable thing that really engages people is the Q&A. And I will also build a little bit on it. What does it mean, clarification, what does it mean questions gathered in advance? Advance of the event or gathered in the audience while the meeting's happening? The latter, okay.
The latter.
So it's, and when do you gather them? I mean, was there a cutoff? Because sometimes.
There will have to be a cutoff in order for us to be able to organize them.
Right. Because if all of the priorities are covered in videos, one-offs, and people can perhaps ask a question about that if they are allowed to write that down, right? So my question is, when is the cutoff for the questions that a member of the audience could submit based on the topics? Because sometimes the topics or the discussion, solicits questions, right, naturally, right? And so I want to make sure that, we've got, number one, ample time for them to submit, and then 15 minutes is, I really think is way too short. Just one response could be 3 or 4 minutes. With the best, with the best moderator.
I'm fully aware of that. Yes, and that is the challenge, Commissioner Savas, is that it is a very tight timeline. And so the design here was around a state of the county address. If this is to be, and what we all know that a state of the county address or union is really a report out. I appreciate the Q&A and the interest and the value of that. But if this is a state of the county address, then the format needs to represent that. Now, I'm not saying we can't make adjustments, and that's why I'm here, to hear your perspective and your opinions around that, and I'm making notes around, but we really don't have a lot of time. It's really, when you look at from beginning to end, it's 1 hour, and it's a lot to cover. So one of the things we're trying to figure out is how do we cover all of this? And we really want to stay, and I want to just be real clear, we have 5 priorities, we have 10 goals. So what we really want to do in this case is stay at the priority level to really, so that people come away from this meeting understanding what the commissioner's priorities are for the next foreseeable future. The goals will have opportunities to speak to those over the course of the implementation of them, and always tying them back to the priorities. But the goal here is to get buy-in and understanding from those who are coming to this meeting, to understand why we're doing this, why when we do go out into the community and ask for their support, we can come back and refer back to the vision you have and the statements you make at this annual State of the County address. So it can't be a catch-all because it is only 1 hour, and it has a purpose. So I hear and I agree with you that we need to be able to touch on these priorities because they're extremely important, and this is the first opportunity you will have to speak to the community about your strategic priorities. But this is not going to be the only opportunity. This is really setting the stage.
Well, there's almost, yeah, well, I appreciate that. There's almost 3 different things we're trying to accomplish maybe, perhaps. And I agree if it's a state or the address. And typically those are done at the beginning of the year, let's say a city or the county. Typically did that at the beginning of the year, right? New administration or whatever it may be, or new year. And so that's typically, and I understand those are, right, half an hour to an hour, right, typically. And you often don't have any Q&A, right? It's really informational, so got that. Then you mentioned our strategic plan and our work and so forth. And so one of those here is, I just want to point it out here, I'm reading right from it, communications and engagement. And so I think one aspect that I have heard that has been well received, regardless what chamber does it, is whether it's the, a forum or a lunch with the mayors or the county commissioners or so on, that forum where it has a lot of Q&A is really powerful. Okay. So I'm not here to say which one is the greater priority, but I think if we're going to talk about this, we spent 30 minutes and we just scratched the surface, and it was well received. Talking about this, state of the address, that's something else. So if it's more of an open house, or not an open house, but more of a town hall kind of a setting, that's another one. So that's why I say there's 3 different ways of approaching this, and I'm just wondering about the timing. Is it something that a state of the address, is that really what this is? Is that what we all had in mind? Just laying that out there.
All right, Commissioner West?
Right now you have, at 6:35 PM, you have 20% of the entire event going towards Q&A. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's 15
Yeah.
minutes. 15 minutes of the hour.
Is it standard? I mean, this is a state of the county. I mean, it is in, the end of the year, but this is when we're getting to do it. Is it common to have a Q&A at any state of the county?
No.
Or any governmental state address?
Not really.
So part of my concern is I would take maybe a different approach, is I have said forever it feels like, that we have not been creative and robust enough in telling the story of Clackamas County. And maybe a good State of the Union address spurs the need for some town halls, because this sounds more like a town hall, like hybrid a little bit. 20%'s a lot of an hour. It's a lot. And I think that I have been, quite vocal about the need for us to tell the heart of the county, the story of the county, what's happening with the county. It actually was the advice that we got from the HUD administrator, that they would love to see videos and real-life stories about the real-life impact and the results of the work that we're doing that actually like really captures the essence of who we are and what we're doing. They want to see those. That came out of the meeting yesterday too. They're like, we'd love links of you guys just knocking it out of the park and doing great work, and we can see the evidence of that, and we recommend videos. So I love that you're going down this pathway to kind of tell the story and working with this other media company. I'm sure that they're going to serve us well in how to do that. And I think it's sometimes in the government it's a little bit sterile and we just check the boxes. We did check, and you could say, okay, sure, it's like a grocery list, but like you have no buy-in to it and don't quite understand why. And so I think you're trying to do that here a little bit. You're trying to actually tell the story of the county. I don't really have a feeling either way on like, and I'm not sure I'm totally understand how the different facets of what we do are being represented. I don't know if everything needs to be equal or if it needs to be effective, right? Like, just as long as it's effective. And one of my concerns is we have to start telling the story in an address like this is an important time to do that, because it may have real funding consequences to continue to do what we do, and we have to let the public know what's going on so they can make informed decisions as, taxpayers. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So if we're getting around to do what impacts the messaging to who we work for, which is the public and the taxpayer, so that we can protect and grow the good things we're doing, that's ultimately what I hope we accomplish here. And who gets what piece of the pie and time is not as relevant to me as long as we're effective in that.
Yeah, thank you. And you're right. It's going to be very challenging to give equal priority to everything. And because the reason why we are proposing that it be on the recovery, the bigger priority, is because that's where some of our bigger asks are and will be and will continue to be. And it's critically important. All the other priorities are just as important. We will have opportunities to showcase those in different ways, perhaps. Not perhaps, we will. But we know the challenge of going out into the community and asking the community to support the investments we're making in this system. And so that's why we felt it was important to really showcase this as the priority theme, but not the only theme. And so we're trying to find a balance between that, because when we do go into a community and ask to put in a stabilization center, or we go into a community and ask to put in a recovery campus, that's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah, and
So,
yeah.
just a couple comments, one of which I think we're trying to kind of, I guess, I hear what my fellow colleagues are saying about wanting to cover a lot of these other issues, and I think we are kind of in this time constraint of really trying to prioritize. And what I hope we can do is, and maybe even before this event, is identify another date, right, where we can really say, hey, we want to address these issues with you, create more of a question and answer, almost as a teaser for the next one. Because we have so much to say, and to try and get it all on one day, it really, I could see where you're at, it's really complicated and a challenge. I think and really trying to take advantage of the time that we have people there when we're not speaking, for example, any kind of way to promote some of the things, which it sounds like you're doing. And one of the things I know the board has been really interested in is how can we support and promote small business? And maybe maybe we have a display there to say, hey, these are the businesses we helped this last year and some of the funding. And even though we're maybe not able to address it in the forum itself, we're able to talk about that. So anyway, I think that First of all, it sounds like it's a great location. It sounds like the college has been very beneficial in kind of working with us. And so I have two other individuals. Gary wanted to comment, and I also have Sava. So Gary, how about you go first?
Thank you. Commissioners, at least for the last 26 years, this board and your prior boards have always had Q&A at your State of the Counties. That doesn't mean you have to do it again, but for 25 years, you've done that. Yes, we normally do this earlier in the year. We did not this time because you had a new board, a vacant commissioner, filled that commissioner's seat. You didn't get your strategic plan done until a month ago. So that's why it's later in the year. This is your event. You tell us what you want to do, although we're running out of time, but something to consider. You could extend the time of this event, so it's not just 1 hour if you wanted, although that is getting a bit long for people to be in a room. But staff just needs direction today, and we have a lot more on your agenda today, Chair. What would you like to do? So full State of the County type event only, split it with the Q&A, do a town hall only and pivot? We have time, but not much time. So that's what we're asking today, please.
So Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a question and I'll respond. So when was the last time we did a town hall?
During the pandemic, online, so 2020, 2021.
That's a long time ago. And we made commitments along the way, previous commissions, not this commission, that we would do and be in front of, the public on certain topics and whatnot. The chambers have done, I thought, a great job of inviting us here, there, wherever to hear from us, because what other way do we get what other way do we have a dialogue with, whether it's the public or whether it is the business community or all these settings? We haven't done much. Matter of fact, we've done the least here in the last few years in my first 10 here on the commission. So that's significant to me. And COVID, understand the disruption, and that certainly changed things quite a bit. But we also did monthly evening meetings, right? Another means of communicating. Well, I think we've done one this year, right?
So far, yes.
One. So folks, we made it a priority. It's the last one, communication and engagement. So I just think that, I think consistency and if we do these things and we do them as a package and we commit to all of them, I'm okay with the State of the County that's abbreviated, right? But if that's it, and that's all we're gonna do for 2025, that ain't enough.
So that is not it. You have business forums that we're coming back to you with. Tony and her team working on some town halls for you. We just haven't brought that to you on an agenda.
But we're at the end of 2025. We're at the end. There's only a couple months left, and it's Christmas.
Plenty of time. You're right, it is short.
Commissioner West.
It has been a little bit of a Toad's Wild Ride this year, honestly. And Commissioner Helm is new to us, and so we now have a functioning 5-member board, which we did not have for a large chunk of this year, and we were dealing with some serious fires that we had to address. Unfortunately, you guys are doing great. I don't think Commissioner's office is implying otherwise either, but I think that's an important point. I would support actually this being an actual State of the County, and we have too much to talk about to give 15 minutes to Q&A, and I think we can open up all kinds of forward opportunities for people to speak. And there was actually one town hall since I was elected with the previous board. So it was before, Tootie was chair, and it was earlier on in my tenure, but we did have a town hall. It was not well attended, but we did have one. And I believe it was an evening meeting when we still did evening meetings, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong. But I would support actually having something that showcases the county and tells the story. I mean, we have big decisions coming up that impact all of these essential services that we do, and we are mostly behind in telling that story. And we have to do a showcase that's truthful and honest and gets us there. So I would rather give what we haven't been doing at all, not even, in my opinion, effectively at all, is that use the whole hour for that, especially if we do want to incorporate a little bit more. But by polling data, housing, homelessness, substance use disorder, and that crisis before us is by far the largest concern for our voters. It's our priority because it is their priority, so we should prioritize to be most effective with what we have. And it's the most critical funding issues that I think we face, especially with large system investments and infrastructure. So I would actually support making sure that you can better utilize 15 more minutes to help us showcase that.
And before I shift to Commissioner Helm, I agree with Commissioner West, and the only thing I might add to it is to make sure we're kind of addressing Paul's issue is, let's pick a date, to do another event, whether it's a town hall or something where we can reach out and meet that before the end of the year. So that's, I completely agree with Commissioner West. So Commissioner Helm?
My only suggestion would be, and I agree with Gary, that all of these that I've attended over the years, there's always been a Q&A.
Yeah.
It was very well received, the Q&A, but I remember it being put on mostly by Chambers of Commerce too. So my suggestion would be to move the registration of social up to 5 p.m. and tack on another 30 minutes to this program and give us, this is short. This is really a short program. And I remember, I've been to like almost every one for I don't know how many years. I think it was a full 2-hour program, usually put on by the chamber during a lunch hour, but people were there the entire time. So I would not be opposed to just moving it up to 5 for that registration of social, starting at 5:30 and then going another half hour. That's just my suggestion. I think you can rush it and make it look like I agree we need to toot our own horn too, right?
Yeah.
We have done a lot. You guys have done a lot. I'm piggybacking on what you're doing here, but I just think we need to give it a little
An
more.
extra 30 minutes is,
Be my
Commissioner
suggestion.
Savas.
would be ideal.
You'd appreciate that?
Yeah, I would support that recommendation, suggestion by Commissioner Helm. I will say that I get it. And I get that the state of the county ought to be the state of the county and there's abbreviated, but what I didn't understand was why we didn't at least do the chamber type event, which is somewhat of a town hall luncheon kind of a thing.
Yeah.
We have really been disconnected. I know there's a lot of pent up, I spent most of the weekend talking to people.
Right.
What do they want to talk about? All kinds of stuff, and we're not there. They don't want to just hear from me. They want to hear from you all of us. And we're not there. So, I mean, I even told someone this weekend that, hey, maybe I'll just do my own town halls and see if I can invite some of my colleagues, to join me at some town halls. But libraries, parks, transportation, economic development, childcare, all these things that are important to people, we're not availing ourselves to the public. That's our job.
I was there on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well, for that part, yeah.
All right. So I think we're at extend the time a little bit. Is there kind of nods on that? How about we just let you guys identify how you might extend the time, give you kind of that direction. You might figure something out.
And am I still hearing that you would like to have a Q&A in this, or not?
Yeah, I would like you to have the freedom to put a program together that is exceptional and not put unnecessary, like arbitrary on the go constraints on you. But I think an hour personally is really fast. If you tell me, hey, Commissioner, an hour and a half would be ideal, I could really do more, then I would be, and we can still do more without putting too much into it. Like, we can get into the weeds a little bit, and then people are like, it was like a shotgun blast. So if you can figure out how to, like, if you can thread that needle and you feel like that's what you need, I support it.
Great.
Okay. Commissioner Savas.
Commissioner West, all due respect, staff already kind of did that. And we're just making some suggestions here, so I think we owe staff some guidance. And I hear two of us want to keep it abbreviated. Two of us would like maybe to extend it to 30 minutes at least for Q&A. So I just looked at my colleague, Martha. I mean, we got to give some direction.
Well,
I don't
right,
wanna-
and I said if you want to make it an hour and then extend it, then I'm totally fine with that. But I also feel like they're trying to do something different and new, and I don't want to be like micromanaging them in this either.
Gary's got a comment.
Yes, I need your specific direction on the timing and a yes or no to Q&A, please, today.
Can,
Okay, yes
Can-
on Q&A, if it doesn't go in, if it's not within an hour, if you need additional time for Q&A, then fine. That's where I stand.
I would like the additional Q&A. I think it's important to have that because other things bubble up that people want to ask questions about. And I know that, polling may show the recovery piece is really big, but transportation, for example, has always been top on everybody's mind. And given what's been happening at the legislature, you have that. I don't know if people are thinking about economic development, but I always think it's something we should mention because we are an unusual county in that we have an economic development department that actually focuses on that. I think Washington County may have something, but Multnomah County doesn't. So I think a little more time, there's a way we can do this.
So
can I propose one option? And I don't know what folks think about this, but what if we did this standard presentation, right, to the State of the County address, and then we basically announce that, look, we are going to break up into sections that you'll have the opportunity to meet with commissioners directly, ask them, have a conversation about whatever issue it is. And we could really kind of accomplish both. I think it's more personable when you can meet with somebody directly rather than we're picking something out of the audience. The college does have some areas where we could divide and really give folks the opportunity to meet with us one-on-one.
That seems overly complex, to be honest.
It does,
Yeah.
it does,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, well, try to throw it out. All right, well, it's not worth continuing to head down that path then. So I need to help Gary and staff kind of move forward. So it sounds like we'll have Q&A, am I hearing kind of?
Just move it up to 5 PM. So, you're adding a half hour
Yeah,
right there.
and I really, as I said earlier, I see this as our transition year because what we will also do is have an evaluation form. We will get feedback. We will be able to plan well in advance for next year. And my goal is to have a date set shortly thereafter, so we have a good runway to plan and be prepared. That didn't happen very well this year. So again, this is kind of like that transition that we are trying to do something different. We are trying to tell the story. We are trying to respect the history that we've had with the state of the county. But I really see this one as setting the stage for the State of the Union to come.
All right. Does that sound pretty good, Gary?
Here's the direction I'm hearing. Add 30 minutes to the event, so the total event is 2 hours, but really 90 minutes for your program. Yes to keep the Q&A section of the event. Yes to modify the moderated discussion where they're going to talk about the entire strategic plan, not just the recovery campus. And finally, schedule other town halls ASAP that you can announce at the event.
Does that sound good?
Does that comply what I heard you all say? I think so.
Yep.
Okay,
Great.
got it.
All
Thank you
right.
for your specific direction. Tony, you're
All
good?
right. Great discussion. Thank you, everybody. What's next, Gary?
All right, thank you. Next is Advisory Board and Commission appointments. Andrew, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, the Committee for Community Involvement, staffed by the Department of Public and Government Affairs, currently has one opening due to a term expiration. Recruitment opened to the public in April of 2025 and closed in July of 2025. Through this recruitment process, 2 applications were received and 1 is recommended for appointment. The recommendation is as follows. Stephanie Karkin to a first term ending September 2029. The Board of County Commissioners could select other candidates or require further recruitment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Questions, colleagues? May I have a motion?
I move we approve the appointment of Stephanie Karkin to the Committee for Community Involvement.
Second.
All right. Commissioner Schrader has moved to approve the appointment of Stephanie Karkin to the Committee for Community Involvement. Commissioner Helm has seconded that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please call the poll for us, clerk.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Savas.
Aye.
Commissioner Helm.
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And Gary, what's next?
Next, proposed public meeting law grievance response process. Billy Williams, interim county counsel, and Angela Haji Hashimi, assistant county counsel, will present. There's a memo in your packet. Just Angela, Billy, go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chair. I'm just here today to seek approval to implement a process that would help us address grievances when they come up alleging violations in public meetings law. This is in compliance with ORS 192-705, and that specifies the processes and some of the requirements that we need to meet in order to properly receive and address grievances. So with this, we look to establish a email notification system that would push emails alleging grievances to one of our attorneys. Currently, that's assigned as me, and it will also be going to our permanent county counsel once we have one. Additionally, we will have a notice that goes on the Board of Commissioners website, as well as Records Management's website, to notify people how they can additionally reach out to us by phone, in person. That should link to county counsel as well. There is also the standard form in your memo as well. There's no cost on this at this time. This is something we feel that we can absorb in county counsel's office with minimal lift. We have already established the email. We haven't posted it anywhere, but with your approval, we will move forward with establishing that on our website and broadcasting it out into the world. We will revisit this process in about 6 months, or after our first grievance is received, whichever comes first, just to see if our process and procedures are meeting every step of the way in compliance with the statute.
Great. Thank you. Commissioner Savas has a question, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's more of a comment, and I don't expect either of you to answer it because you weren't here in 2023. My understanding is this became law in 2023. Is that correct?
That is my understanding as well.
Okay. I just want to say I was a little bit surprised to learn that we're doing it here in 2025. We should have done it 2 years ago. So glad, thank you, great work. Yes, go forth, but it should have been done 2 years ago.
We expect that we can expedite this process and hopefully have it active on our website in under a week with PGA's assistance.
Great, thank you. Commissioner West has a question or comment?
Yeah, this is actually quite interesting, and that it passed in 2023, now we're kind of moving forward, was, I guess, the recent possible case study out of the city of Portland with a lot of grievances around blatantly violating public meeting laws. Did that spur us to make sure that we were in compliance for just better local government? Did that have any influence to highlight, like, hey, you know, what is that process after 2023? They're definitely having an issue with this in Portland. I'm just curious if that had anything to do with this.
Not to my knowledge, however, public meetings law is definitely getting some extra attention currently, so it's good we're addressing this now.
Yeah, thank you. So just so I understand the process, because, you know, we try to stay on top of this, any of us that have been involved in local government or in government in any capacity of service, we really try to follow this for public trust and transparency. It's very important that public meeting laws are followed the best we can. And we're human, and sometimes we make a mistake and we try to adjust it and move towards being better. So I'm glad we're doing this. So just so I understand it, right now, within 21 days, a member of the public that has a concern that something wasn't transparent or that public meeting laws weren't followed would have this process by email to reach out to county counsel to say, hey, I think something's been violated and it needs to be addressed. And then we have so many days or to respond back. At what point during this process is the Oregon Ethics Commission or the Secretary of State brought in to address a violation?
They would be brought in within that time period after the complaint has been made if, when we review it, we believe that there is a reason to reach out to the Ethics Commission for clarification, or if we believe that there's a conflict that would require us to go to the Ethics Commission, or even our internal auditor's office. Either option exists for us there.
Okay. And then is it, what happens? Let's say there's a violation.
If there is a violation within 45 days, we will issue a statement that we messed up and either retract that decision, step back, or we will just acknowledge that error.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm glad we're doing this, and you're right, it is. It's been out there quite a bit in the media and forefront of people's minds, so this is timely.
Great. Commissioner Savas.
Slightly related to this, and I know you worked on it, and I'd like to get a little bit of an update, but we had a constituent that was critical of a process in which we forwarded to the Ethics Commission for review. And I know it's kind of related, this would have been a mechanism for that to happen, is that correct?
It was not filed as a grievance, but I think we could have taken it as one. It was kind of an inquiry for questions rather than a formal grievance, but we could have addressed it similarly here, and I probably would have recommended that at the time.
And the board chose to say, well, you know what, if there's a question about it, send it to state ethics for review, independent, and, so we willingly did that. And have we got a written response yet from the Ethics Commission?
We have not gotten a written response yet.
As soon as that comes, I would highly be interested in reviewing it. Thank you. When do you anticipate us getting that?
I'm not 100% sure. It's outside, since it was not a requirement from the Ethics Commission to get a formal response. It's going to be as the Ethics Commission employees' time allows to get us that response. So I can follow up, but I don't have a timeline at this time, Commissioner.
Yeah, and if anyone's curious what that's about, it was about the process for the disposition of the old courthouse. That's what that was about, just to be transparent. Thank you.
All right. Do you have a motion on this proposed process?
Chair, I move that we approve the proposed public meeting law grievance response process.
Second.
All right, Commissioner West has moved to approve the proposed public meeting law grievance response process. It's been seconded by Commissioner Schrader. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Gary, what's next?
Thank you, Angela. Next is the board team building retreat. You discussed this briefly last week and asked to bring it back this week for a further discussion. So the question is, do you want to have a board team building retreat before the end of this calendar year in the next 3 months, or wait till January timeframe, which is what I initially recommended last week? It's entirely your decision, and I will do what you ask, but if you could have a quick conversation amongst yourselves, please, on timing.
Thinking this is going to be a one-day thing.
That would be my suggestion, not longer than 1 day, yes.
We had one earlier in the year, very early in the year, and I participated in that. My wish then was that we would wait until we actually had a full board. And now with the addition of Commissioner Helm and that vacancy being filled, I thought it was a highly successful, positive, great experience, and I'm looking for one, again, it includes the 5 of us, that is similar in nature.
I had pretty public concerns about our team building in the beginning of the year. Initially, I was not going to go because of the commissioner fireside issue, and felt like it wasn't the best use of time. At that point, we did go ahead and have one with the 4 of us. It was productive. I support the will of the board if they want to do another day. I do think Commissioner Helm, as a brand-new commissioner, that it would be beneficial for you especially, and I want all my members of the team, as a team, that we have those available to us if we need them to help us, gel as a group and move forward and build all the things that team building does. So I am somewhat flexible. I know we are really busy going into the last quarter here. I know a lot of us have a ton on the plate, but we always do, and that's never going to change. So I'm open to whatever the will of the board is.
I'm flexible. You want team building? You can do it.
I'm open to doing it before the end of the year, sooner than later, but I think finding that day on the calendar is going to be the biggest challenge. Even one day is going to be a challenge, looking at our schedules.
And I think it's got to be really before the holidays. Like December's gone.
Yeah.
That obviously that's a month within the quarter, and then you have the last half of November, a lot of Thanksgiving and family. I don't know. It would have to be either early November or October. I don't know, Gary, what you think.
October. We actually have some holds on your calendar already, anticipating this. So Chair Roberts had a suggestion, which we followed through. We did actually track all the number of board retreats you've held in the last 15 years, and you've never held more than 2 a calendar year, which is fine. You can be different. You can be a new board. You've already held 2 this year. This would be your 3rd. I just want to ask, what would you like to accomplish at this retreat? Do you want to bring back the prior consultants who went over the Hogan leadership test with you? I've looked into some other consultants who have some good options to talk to you about how you handle conflict as a team and how you lead as a team. Might have a different focus. I don't think you want presentations all day, though. How can we help focus? What would you like to see at a retreat? That would help me as well.
Yeah, go ahead,
So,
Commissioner.
one product that I think that we came out of the first retreat is this here, right? The working agreements and so forth, right?
Yes.
And then we followed up, we got, everything's codified for the board priorities and so forth. So it seems to me between this and that and bringing that all together and then working at just again, team building is it's not about setting priorities, obviously, right? But it seems that we can incorporate all of these things into and how we work together. And we've also, the other thing we've done too, is we've also got assignments now, right? We've done our board assignments. So there was a lot of unsettled things and some of those have been knocked out. But, for me, I would like to make sure that these working agreements, that we're okay with actually exercising them, right? I don't want to, if there's something on here that says, okay, if something's inaccurate, we bring it to someone's attention. That's not, I don't know where that is. That's not the language. But I want to make sure that if there is something, then someone misspeaks and we correct each other in respectful dialogue and that we're okay with that. I want to just make sure that we can test those things so that, again, we're building a team, to work positively together and understand all of that. That's where I'm at.
Commissioner, Helm, would you find benefit? You did go to a retreat. That was, it was more than a day. And then we had the one before you were on board. And I was under the assumption that we kind of already contractually obligated with who we were already working with, and we made that commitment, and we should follow through with the business that we come into contract with. It sounds like that's not the case. Is that correct, Gary?
Well, actually, they did follow up on their own. They're going to do the Hogan leadership test for Commissioner Helm and then review with her individually how the team works together based on your test you took previously. So they're going to do that with her directly.
But
to
we
get her up to
weren't
speed.
contractually obligated for another day of team building.
Not as a group with that group.
To be honest, sometimes, we do this in the military sometimes where we do these more official team buildings. And then sometimes I'm going to go take the unit and we're going to go bowling for an evening or something because we actually need to be human together. And sometimes that team building is just as important and effective to cause cohesiveness within the unit I'm working with than actually going through a day of this again.
Well,
And I don't know if there's a way for us to do something constructive, but also is a little less heavy.
so the previous team building exercises I have been involved in they've included activities. They're kind of a test with us to see, how we coalesce, right? How we get along. I think activities would be good, kind of just to question how we all operate. I think one of the best team building things is in the kitchen. And Martha would probably agree with this, right?
She'll attest to that.
That is, and then breaking bread together is also a great way to team build. I don't have anything specific. I don't want to be preached at all day. I don't want to have somebody telling us what we should be doing. I think this should be all about us and how we build trust with one another, how we don't have, I see in certain meetings, people becoming a little bit inflamed over things that are said that they're very passionate about. I'm very passionate about things, but I tend to kind of keep it down until it needs to be said. So we all have very different backgrounds that we come from and ways that we work. So I don't know, I'm open, but I agree with Commissioner Savas that we should be working on these purpose and commitment statements, but I think that should just be a small portion of it. I'm not a professional in the team building world, but team building to me means being able to talk openly and agree to disagree if we need to at some point, and how that looks going forward.
How much does a whole day cost with one of these organizations?
Between $2,000 to $6,000.
And how much have we spent already this year on this type of this work?
Well,
This has not been a normal year.
your team building retreat costs $10,000 for 2 full days plus prep and leadership assessments. Your strategic planning effort, which it was more than just your 2 days you were together. There was pre-work done, there was implementation work done. That cost $75,000.
Yeah.
$85,000 total for the 2 team
For 1
buildings,
year?
strategic planning retreat, doing implementation teams.
Wait. For 1 year, for what we just
For
did
this
for
calendar
twice,
year,
it was
correct.
$5,000?
This calendar year, yes.
Yeah, so the product, the first, we got, this work is all done. So this, I just see, not abbreviated, but I don't see a 2-day process. I just see a half day, 1 day. Yeah.
And you see what I mean about
I
the,
mean,
the inflamed, yeah.
So
the things
I
that-
was under the impression that a lot of work that we've done over a long period of time was like, it wasn't just like this 1 year. Maybe if I misunderstood, that's on me. I didn't realize that just this year alone, we chose to spend $85,000 on.
It's more than just that.
But this is what we got out of it, right? We got our team.
This
and
too.
I know.
That was the expensive one. Let's be clear, let's be
was the more
clear.
one.
I know, but we're holding up laminates for $85,000 with a couple cool like boxes and priorities.
And I will say too.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Martha
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to
I'm
talk.
sorry.
Sorry. And then I'll come right
We
back.
haven't been doing
Yeah, and-
lights, so I was.
So go ahead, Martha. Sorry.
I was just going to say that I would be glad to have you all over for a ravioli dinner for an afternoon and evening if you want that kind of team building. Food helps a lot, and just kind of hanging out with each other.
I'm there.
So
Okay.
come up with a date and let me know.
Commissioner Helm now.
So
Right, go
I don't disagree, it's a lot of money, but I don't, the original number was like, it's in the millions. It's like 1-point-something million dollars that we've been spending with this company for this. But I like to put things in perspective and take our total budget for the year, and this is a blip on that. And if it produces something for us that comes out of this, that we can do better for our constituents, I think it's worth every penny. So another $2,000 to $5,000 or $6,000, I think in the scheme of things, it's money well spent.
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, and I'll call on you next. So, Gary. I'm sorry, Savas. Sorry.
It was a red light, just like Gary was saying. Gary's sign
Sorry.
is red,
I
too.
was like,
Yeah, so just to be clear, the big money, the $75,000 was the retreat for all the goals and priorities. We're not talking about that. We've done that. I didn't know it was that much, but one thing I do know, Commissioner Helm just brought it up. We spent millions, tens of millions of dollars with one particular company. Tell me if I'm exaggerating.
Tens of millions?
Yes, you are. You spent $1 million total to this single vendor over 12 years. 12 years of work spread over was approximately $1 million,
Okay, not including our staff time.
not including staff time.
Not including staff time.
Right.
We put a lot of money in what we call it,
Performance Clackamas.
Performance Clackamas. And what was promised in 2014, when I was here, was that we would have a dashboard, right? We would have at monthly reports about how we're doing on all our goals. And today, 11 years later, we don't have that. Okay, so a little bit of disappointment that we have this laminated thing, but as far as making decisions based on metrics, right? We give some guidance today, maybe we don't have those metrics in place. Maybe staff's got them, but we're the decision makers. We make decisions based on metrics, and we're still not there. So that's something different. All I'm saying is that from a team building standpoint, the lower cost one, right? We don't need to redo this again, so I don't see we need a 2-day, 6 or whatever that was back in March or whenever that we did that. To me, I just see a 1-day thing to kind of go over this work, break bread, and figure out how we work together as best as possible.
So if I could just comment a little bit, I think not all the departments quit using Performance Clackamas or MFR. So a lot of the departments actually continue to collect data, present that, maybe not to this board, but that was kind of one of the things I wanted to see come together is have that data collection to look at the matrix. And that's what Jeremy and Marv have done is, again, go out and meet, recreate those, get them back on track, and they're coming back to help make sure that we are keeping everybody on track to bring those matrix before us. So I do know a number of departments continue to do that. Now, that's on us if we want them to come present it. And I'm happy to work with Gary on an agenda to get them to come forward. So I think it is beneficial. Gary, did you want to?
Sorry, I don't want to get off track, but I want to clear the record because there's the misstatements being made here. Every department has a strategic plan. They have measures that have been approved by me. I have not at the advice of the consultants, you don't approve department strategic plans. That's my job. We do not have a dashboard. That is correct. We tried to do this at budget, but prior boards ignored it. So frankly, I gave up. All to say is we have a refresh, restart, new board, invigorated administrator. Departments have a plan. We're going to have a dash. We're going to do all that work. So the question is, do you want to do a single-day retreat? I'm hearing yes. You want to do it before the end of this calendar year? I'm hearing that. You've given me ideas on the agenda. I'll work on a consultant who can provide that. So I think we're near wrapping this up if we're good.
Great.
I think we're having it at Martha's house.
So,
I was going to offer up my house.
yeah, I'll even bring Polly to cook.
Yeah,
too.
I've got plenty of room.
Yeah, Polly and Martha are amazing. I just want to say really quick, we have averaged over the last 12 years about $92,000 a year for this work. I can't, and at the same time, we're about to spend more money to get maybe to that $92,000 average this year. There's a lot that goes into it. It is more than a laminate. That I want to be careful that I'm not just saying, oh, we only got a laminate. That is not true. There's a lot of meetings throughout the organization to try to make sure there's cohesiveness. There is value in it. I don't have an appetite to spend one more penny on it this year. I just don't, now that I think about this, because we just got out of a meeting where we were very much concerned about what should be a very big county priority and is priority with other counties to spend 1 cent doing it, and concerned about so there are everything that comes up I just, not that this isn't important and not that I'm saying that we should not do it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying for this year and this budget cycle, I don't have an appetite now that I've processed that right here in front of everybody, the expense run. But if you guys want to do a team building where we get together, we have a meal, we can have some of these conversations as professionals and colleagues, we can do it at a commissioner's home together, and maybe staff can help. I don't think we need to hire anybody for this.
I don't think so either.
And we can just go through things together, understand each other's expectations. I think we're all adults. We all communicate well with one another. We all respectfully can share our thoughts and opinions and ideas, and maybe make a day or afternoon of it that way, I think is, but I would like to do something fun, to be honest. I think that's important too.
Commissioner Helm.
I was just going to suggest, I would love to have it at my house. It would cost nothing. There's no rental included. I would be happy if I'm allowed to provide the food, of course, with Martha's help.
Yeah, well, I can make ravioli.
Because
anyway, yeah.
she can do her homemade ravioli.
I brought that to
I'm
your
in charge of the Caesar salad. I do a really good Caesar salad. No, anyway, but I think, Gary, you could put together a loose agenda for us based on previous team building things that you've been to, and we could ad lib the rest. I really think that we're adult enough to do that, and just make it a little more casual, not cost anything, and yet accomplish what we're trying to do.
Great. I agree, and
Wait,
Gary had a comment, sorry. Gary had a comment.
So if I'm hearing then no facilitator for your next team building retreat, but I'd like you to invite me and let me help you. I have some hobby as a facilitator. I can help guide you,
That's what I mean, yes.
Yeah.
but we won't hire anyone.
Right.
Is that okay?
Are you okay with that?
I'll go with the flow. I'll go with, I'm not adverse to hiring anyone, and I don't think it's going to be, I don't think $6,000 is required. Again, I just see it as a low cost. there's got to be a low-cost way to doing this. If you do it, Gary, that's fine, but to me, I don't mind spending a few $100 or $1,000 for a one-day person to come in to help us, just to make sure to keep us all on track.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to
All
that.
right, and then one quick thing. So you directed me in June that we will bring back Marvin Germany at 6 months. So you're reversing that decision?
In June, when is that
In June
due?
at your retreat, you directed me, Marvin Jeremy, all of you will come back in 6 months to review your strategic plan and see your progress and give you some guidance. So that's what I'm planning to do, unless you tell me not
Is
to
that
do it.
this year?
That'll be in February.
Yeah, that's the next year. So
Next
I'm
year.
good with that.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't, yeah.
It's in the same budget year.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
like-
mean,
Where's the?
okay,
How
what's
much will
the,
that cost, Gary?
There'll be a cost to that, yes.
So no, I said, how much will it cost?
I don't know yet. I'm working with them now on a proposal.
so what are we getting out of that? What is the result of that time and money?
Well, I guess I'm trying to stay on track. Right now, what we're trying to do is decide, do we do this training or not? I think we came to a consensus to do it at Commissioner Helms. Gary's going to help facilitate that. Is that enough direction? Kind of
That's
move
enough for
forward?
today, but we do
Yes.
have to revisit this, because if you don't want me to bring back Marvin Jeremy, I need to know that before I make arrangements for February. I see great value in it, because you do not have a strategic plan for the last 4 years, Commissioners. I'm so grateful you finally have one. I want to work with you to stay on track and help you implement it.
It takes that
It takes a lot of discipline, and I need your help to do that.
All I want are the metrics that we were supposed to get 11 years ago.
Okay.
Yep.
And in spite of not having that for 4 years, we've been a very effective county and very proud of it, despite maybe not having that. Maybe the metrics are, would we have been more effective with this? Or would we still have been the kick-ass county that we are, regardless of whether or not we spent the money on this?
That brings us to the next agenda item.
Right. Gary, can we move
Okay.
on?
Thank you for that very good discussion.
Yes, thank you.
We're staying on a theme here. Let's move on. This is a serious discussion, actually. Budget update was very general in what I called this, but I put a memo in your packet. I want to ask two of our guests to come forward who've been waiting a long time here for this. So you directed me, members of the board, as part of the Budget Committee in May of this year, that any dollar amount that is not budgeted will come to you for your direction before I and you even consider a supplemental budget. So that is exactly what I'm doing for you today. There is a memo that I submitted to you yesterday. There are 2 departments in this county that are in desperate need of an infusion of support from the county's general fund. My memo explained what it is. I'm going to give a quick highlight and then allow the 2 speakers to add to anything I've missed. But the request here today is for an additional general fund to 2 departments to help them maintain their services. So first, the District Attorney's Office has lost federal and state dollars for the Victims Assistance Program in their offices, loss of Victim of Crime Act federal funds, and crime fees and assessment state dollars. It's an approximate loss gap of $341,000 that, if not filled, if you do not give direction to fill it, 4 staff will be laid off in 3 weeks, by October 1st, 2025. This is an important component of the public safety system. But again, it's your direction to tell me if you want to infuse a district attorney's office with an additional $341,000 of general fund, not budgeted, that is only to finish the current fiscal year, June 30th. District Attorney Wentworth has said he's going to work on finding other sources of funding, whether from the states or feds, by June 30th to maintain this program ongoing. But my commitment to him is if he can't find the funding, you will probably eliminate it as of July 1st, 2026. But for now, this is just to finish the fiscal year. DA Wentworth could not be here today, but Chris Owen is the Chief Deputy District Attorney, here to answer your questions. Let me finish my quick overview, and then we'll let you both comment. I'm doing this very high level and quickly, of course. Next is dog services in the Department of Transportation and Development. There is a requirement that we do some work with dog control within counties, and there's other work we've done for many, many years. Many cities rely on our work, as does the public safety. The dog services needs is requesting an additional 2 full-time staff at a cost of $250,000, simply to maintain the work that they're currently doing. Due to several vacancies, staff that have left, they are unable to maintain the base level of services that are required to fulfill this function. Again, this is not budgeted, so it would be $250,000 of general fund just to finish the fiscal year, and then you could decide later at the May budget meetings whether to continue that service or to remove it. Now, Clackamas County has a $2 billion budget. We are not broke, but The general fund is very constrained. You know this, we've talked about it for years. We are at the point where any dollar you give to a department has to be taken away from another department. So should you decide to fund either or both of these departments today, your options are the following. You will direct me to cut another department mid-year to take away their general fund, which it really is not fair or likely. More likely is you can direct me to take from the county's contingency fund, which currently has $23 million in contingency. That's great. But that is 5% is required to maintain a contingency for unexpected expenses that occur throughout the year. If you direct me to take these funds from contingency, I then have to cut the contingency to maintain your 5%, cut other programs to maintain the 5% required in contingency. So this is not easy. And these are two worthy programs that unfortunately you're the first out of the gate. There are going to be many more of these during the fiscal year. But I'm simply asking you, what do you want to do? So if I may quickly, District Attorney, DA Owen, if you'd like to make any comments to the board, and then Dan after that.
I just would also like to direct the board to Carrie Walker. She's the head of our Victims Assistance Division. Just briefly, and I'm welcome to, or I'll answer any questions that you have. This is having a catastrophic impact on our ability to serve victims in Clackamas County. Losing 4 advocates will impact not just crime victims, but the ability of prosecutors in our office to effectively prosecute cases. They are our lifeline when it comes to maintaining contact with victims, collecting restitution information, and 50,000 other things. Without this money, our Victims Assistance Division it's going to be like putting a Band-Aid on a dam without having these 4 positions. So we're hoping the commissioners will give it its utmost, this issue its utmost consideration.
Thank you. And Dan, do you have any comments to add?
Just briefly, I love up here with the DA, our partners and associated with this. I love having to articulate an argument against you. Fundamentally, this is more of just an update to you about our serviceability. The shelter, as you knew it, we do not have the staff to sustainably fund it going forward. And to meet the current staffing needs, we've had to make difficult decisions. And that is to lower the number of available beds that we have to shelter strays and other dogs throughout the community. Essentially right now, with the funding that we have and with the staffing levels that we've had, we throughout the year have made a cap at 30 of the 50 spaces we had now. We've reduced that cap to 20. We now currently that cap is from 10 to 15 shelter spaces a day. Over the last year, we had about 660 shelter occupants, our furry friends that are out there. Roughly about 60% of those come from law enforcement. So what I'm sharing with you is the fact that we are having to make the difficult decision, and I know you, I know you are in a difficult position as well. This is more informational than anything. That we are having to make the difficult decision to turn strays away when they are brought to our door, and we are having to make the difficult decision to not accept voluntary relinquishments. And last but not least, we are having to have discussion with our law enforcement partners that are out there because we cannot accept every dog that they collect and bring to our doorstep. We are actually having to have a discussion and a dialogue about determining those dogs that are most dangerous to our community, and those are the ones that we will take. And that's just sharing that with you so you're aware if you get comments, questions, or concerns, the level of staffing that we're looking at doing right now. So with that, I'd be happy to answer your questions you might have.
Commissioner Helm?
Well, on the memo, it says the DA's office is mandated to provide victims. So aren't we mandated to provide these funds?
Chris?
Well, it's an issue of victims' rights are written into the Constitution of the state of Oregon. And each of them has a specific right which we must meet. And we can't meet these without advocates. So, I guess it's an issue of legal interpretation as to whether a public body is mandated to provide those funds. And I want to be intellectually honest with the board. And I'm not going to sit up here and say, no, by law, you have to provide us with this money. But without this money, we cannot meet, just meeting those constitutional rights of victims will be very difficult at best.
Commissioner Savas?
Yeah. if you don't mind, Chair, I'm going to reference the conversation I had last week. You had a suggestion, maybe that when situations like this happen, that we don't make budget cuts at the end of the year at the budget. We try to do some of those midstream, right? Because there's so much that comes to us all of a sudden, right? And it's very difficult to navigate all of the cuts or whatever changes and so forth. So I guess to each of you, I'm interested in knowing what alternatives there are for a different transition period or solutions that you foresee that can get there sooner than June or May or June, because staff starts putting the budget together in January. And it'd be nice to know if there is an alternative or not, as opposed to waiting to the last minute. Just trying to understand the ask here for, looks like about $600,000 collectively, takes you all the way to June 30th, correct?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, but if there's not really a pathway, or you foresee a pathway, then why would we extend the pain any longer if there's not a pathway?
We're always, and I didn't mean, if you want to go first, that's.
No, please
okay. We're not done with evaluating our pathways. As I sit here, I don't know what the direction is with Congress at this point in potentially infusing more funds, but it does not necessarily look good. We are going to continue to evaluate different funding pathways, whatever they may look like, whether it be through state grant activity or federal grant activity. As we all know, the federal grant landscape has become a bit bleak lately. And we have been prohibited from applying for several grants. Do we have that, and that's a fair question, and do we have that complete path forward? Like, what are we doing post June 30th to continue to fund this? As I sit here right now, I don't know. But I can't sit here and say there is no pathway forward. And yes, it could get to a point where we have to make some hard decisions at that point. But right now, we are looking at, we're not ready to just throw up our hands and say it's done. Particularly when it comes to advocating for crime victims and having these dedicated advocates continue to work for our office. Certainly, we don't want to end that tomorrow. I just think I'll be really quick.
Yeah.
Right now, I could not imagine, just because I still, even though I'm chief deputy, I still do the day-to-day work of a line prosecutor. And I could not imagine not having these advocates there, uplifting our caseloads and making sure victims get the support they need.
Our circumstances are a little bit different. We've already made the difficult cuts in dog services. We actually have had a reduction of 3 FTE over the last 3 years. Actually happened 3 years ago, I believe, or 2.5 years ago. That was including 2 animal control. I believe it was 2 animal control specialists, and it was also an individual who was focused on grants and revenue collection, because we had to really focus our efforts on securing and taking care of the shelter as a whole. So the discussion, it's almost reverse of what you're saying. We're already there. And so we would stay there and inform you of kind of what our service delivery as a shelter service is, and it's limited, or look to expand it. By expand it, I mean looking at that cap, moving that cap from like 10 to 15 to like 30. And what that means what that means in regards to like shelter stays, if you simply move that cap, you're looking at 260 days, days over a year. That's space that we don't have for strays that are out in the community. If you reduce that or increase that to 30, it reduces that number of days down to about 104. Those are strays that we're not collecting. They're out in the roads. They're out in the community, going to other entities as well. So,
yeah. So just my quick follow, and that is that both of these are state mandated, right? Dog services is somewhat mandated by the state.
The services is around the rabies and vaccination and licensing. That is the primary mandate within it.
Right. My point is that, in a sense that the crisis is upon us now. The legislative session starts in January, right, for the short session. To me, we need to be screaming up and down and be on the verge of, or, make this situation or conundrum, very apparent that they're mandated. or else we'll have to cut it, right? So I'm not saying it's, again, I think having a plan, not just throw the money at it, but having a detailed plan on how we cope with it or reduce it, right? We don't have to do it at the same capacity. We can do less and still meet the state statute, I think, for the DA's office. Is that accurate?
Yes, but the quality would not be anywhere near.
Yeah, and you guys do a great job. I mean, for years, you guys have done a great job for victims advocates. I just want to just say that it would be a shame to reduce that at all, frankly. Crime's not going down. It's for the most part, the need is there. That all said, there's some other things I think some of us are aware of, if not all of us are aware of, that are far bigger than this, so there's a compounding thing that we're in the precipice of going into the red. Gary, you and I just did some quick counting. We're easily over $2 million right now that we don't have funding for in other areas. So this is part of the equation, but it could be far more than that, which alarms me, frankly, because we don't have the resources there. So, number one, we need to advocate. Number one, we need to transition. But lastly, I'll close with this. Dan, I was talking, so I don't know if it's true, just a rumor, but I heard that another county in Oregon decided to take on cats and somehow made a revenue generator out of it. I don't know if that would save it, but if you got capacity in that building and you got empty beds, I don't know if there's an opportunity for any revenue generation, thinking outside the box of dogs, but is there any other revenue generating that can be done to save that?
I'd have to ask the professionals that staff the shelter, but right now, all I see is more cost. I just see, those aren't, let's back up. They aren't empty shelter spaces. They are spaces that we are keeping empty because we don't have staff to meet the needs of those occupying those. And so the concern would be the additional dialogue around our feline friends and what that would mean in revenue and licensing revenue as well, and I don't know that detail enough to give you a response, but we can look into it and get back to you.
Yeah, I don't know if the Association of Counties or they work with other counties to see what other models are that are trying to cope. We can't be the only ones that are dealing with this, right?
No, we're not, and it's a problem. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Schrader.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Prosecutor, my daughter's a prosecutor in Massachusetts. I'm unaware whether or not they have a victims assistance program. Is this something that is, and I'll ask her, I wish I had talked to her last night, but is this something that is systemically done across the United States?
Yes,
That
it is.
all DAs, or is it all
Now, I
discretionary?
can't sit here and go through all 50 states and say,
Yeah.
oh, they're statutorily mandated in each state. But I think if you're a state without some sort of victims assistance program or prosecutor's office, that's not going to be a very high-functioning prosecutor's office.
Okay, so there's that. Dan, my question to you is, is looking up, okay, thank you for that. I will talk to my daughter, obviously. So I'm looking up, I've been perusing the website of Dog Services, and so there is a group that you've got the Bonnie L. Hayes Small Animal Shelter, us, Clackamas County Dog Services, the Oregon Humane Society, Portland Veterinary Medical Association, Humane Society of Southwest Washington, the Cat Adoption Team, Multnomah County Animal Services, and Alliance for Contraception in Cats and Dogs. So are these organizations available in any way, shape, or form to pick up the slack if we have to minimize the number of pets?
Those facilities will not take animals from law enforcement.
Okay. So, and now-
There may be the ability for strays that we turn away. If we have individuals or citizens that show up to our door, they have the opportunity to take those dogs to those other entities like the Humane Society, et cetera. But there's no mandate from our partners in Washington County or Multnomah County to accept a spray that comes from Clackamas County. And so, but again,
So it
law
may be-
enforcement component, and that law enforcement component makes up of our current stock of about 660 dogs over the last 12 months. It's about 60%, it's about 400.
So most of these are dogs that are picked up by our sheriff's office, is what you're telling me?
There's a large number, and I mean, you think about the fact that, and we've had a dialogue with H3S, a lot of them are with our partners that are either homeless or less fortunate, and these officers need a place to secure these animals when they make actions or take actions against individuals. And they have unfettered access right now to our back door, and they can drop off 3 to 13 over a weekend. And they come into our possession, so. And then once they come into our possession, we are mandated to provide care because we don't personally own them. They're still personal property.
And basically, you're saying, though, that these dogs are left, and that would not happen anymore. There would be a locked door and no place for these animals.
I'm sorry, what?
There would be no place for these animals to go in Clackamas County, or it would be reduced significantly.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, there are private foundations and things of that nature that I know work with like litters and people who are looking to provide dogs and they provide care for certain types of dogs, but I'm not, the law enforcement component, not at all.
Okay. Is any other shelter then in the Tri-County area with our other county colleagues, are they dealing with the same issue right now?
Yes. I'm not sure if you had the pleasure of reading the problems and issues that Multnomah County went through just here recently, but it was pretty significant. And they are having large discussions around how they fund that service going forward.
Okay, so same thing. This is systemic right now, both in dog services and in our council.
It is, and it's being magnified. If you think about pre-pandemic, we were looking at about 1,000 dogs a year. During the pandemic, everybody wanted a dog, so everybody went out and got a dog. Our numbers went down, and now you're seeing them shoot back up. And right now, like we said, over the last 12 months, we're 660 animals so far. And I'm thinking that number's going to keep trending up.
And are most of them adopted?
We tried it, the majority. I mean, we focus on medical care and adoption, but those adoption services under the current state, if you think about the fact that most of them are law enforcement, those are not adoptable animals.
Yeah.
Those are animals that we are just monitoring and securing and feeding and medically treating. And so the adoption component of our services is probably going to be reduced as well.
Well, you're both asking us to make a Sophie's Choice here today.
Commissioner West has a comment.
In Clackamas County, do you have to pay a fee to license your animal?
Yes.
Can we increase that fee to cover these costs?
We did.
Can we do it again?
It's a delicate balance because in a lot of that discussion is increasing the fee to license the animal. So you're taking money from the good actors to support the actions of the actors that may not be as great.
We do that all the time in our culture.
Pardon me?
We do that all the time in our culture. I'm just saying is the revenue's not there. So we have to get the revenue somewhere, and it's an essential service that's mandated. And if our fee's not covering it, then it should cover it. And it would be quite minimal to increase that fee to cover the cost of 2 employees to give you what you need. And I'm not, it's a tough situation to take care of these animals, but that's what we're tasked to do, and we'll do it. But what would it cost to increase the fee quickly to cover the expense so that we can have these strays taken care of?
Calculator back. We have about 27,000 licenses we do a year. We've been focused on increasing our licensure every single year.
How only 27,000?
27,000. I think it's the
way
number.
more dogs and dog owners than 27,000 in the county.
That is correct.
I didn't pay a licensure fee. I have 3. I don't think I did.
But
I don't know if I'm supposed to.
But you live in a city, too.
That's on public record. No.
No, you live in a city, or my dogs are
You would have
licensed
to like
to.
triple the dog fee.
Yeah, I'm
And
just-
then you have constituents calling you, why'd you raise my fees? And people would stop paying the fee.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they thought it's too expensive. Okay.
So there's no.
Where's our fee comparatively to other counties?
We are slightly, I believe right now, because we did a slight adjustment, we are slightly higher.
We're slightly higher.
But we are actively going out. I mean, what happens, we get notice, I really wish I had some dog people here. We essentially get notice of a rabies vaccination. It's a requirement from the vet. Once we get notice of that rabies vaccination, we run that against our licensing data that we have within the county. If there is no match with the fact that you have a dog that has a rabies certificate and that doesn't have licensure, we send you a citation.
What about all the people not paying the licensure? Because 27,000 seems like a low number for the size of unincorporated Clackamas County.
Pardon me?
It seems like a low number for unincorporated Clackamas County.
It is a number that we continue to try to increase. It's been a focus. In fact, we are proactive in a lot of that discussion and dialogue to secure funding to that. That funding is not enough to secure enough money to operate the shelter. I'm sorry. I mean, maybe if we had every single, if we increased that, I mean, what's that math? I mean, it was a $250,000 ask annually by 27,000. It increased the number of $100 $100 a license? 200, no, is it $1,000?
It's a lot. A lot.
So
Gary had a-
hold on, what's the population of unincorporated Clackamas County?
415.
Well, that unincorporated, because I don't think, am I right, if I live in the city of
No, but-
Wilsonville, then I wouldn't be, or could any resident Clackamas?
No, it's not just Clackamas County Sheriff's Office we're taking from. It's state police, it's all the city police departments, it's
Wait,
everybody.
my question, hold on, I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Out of 27,000 license, we have a population of just under 430,000-ish people that live here. There are way more households that have way more, like, we're not close to even scratching the surface of those paying a licensure fee that should to the county, so that, and you pay that fee because we all benefit from having these animals managed appropriately, so our kid doesn't get bit, or we don't have to deal with a dog with behavioral issues. Like, this is a public health issue also. We need to make sure that we're managing dogs, make sure they have the rabies vaccinations. So where's the lack of enforcement with only 27,000 people paying this licensure? And then we have a much larger population, which means there's a ton of people that we're not capturing. I don't understand the gap.
It's a gap that's found throughout the entity nationwide around the fact that people don't license their animals. And we do issue citations. Those citations they have to be roughly proportional to the act, so I can't drop a $10,000 citation on somebody who doesn't license a dog. But those are a lot of the discussions that we've had with the board previously around, that $100 to $200 citation that's out there for dog services.
Well, how do we get the ones that aren't captured? I mean, I feel like the gap is massive, like even not increasing the fee, but if we just did a little bit better job at capturing ungained revenues, we're probably not having this conversation. Like that, we're a big county with a lot of dogs, and like 27,000 is like the population of one of our cities. It's not, we're missing something here. Like how do we get that revenue so we can provide the public service that's mandated that everyone expects? I'm missing something here. I'm being asked for money when we're not going out and collecting the revenue. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault, but it seems to be the case.
I'd have to get information back to you on that, because the dialogue, there are some cities that do licensures on their own that collect those revenues. I don't know if all of them do. I know, for example, I think Happy Valley does. I believe Wilsonville may as well. But we are the only shelter
that everybody dumps
that
into.
everybody provides to, okay?
And those fees should go to supporting that shelter regardless if you're,
And that is
where
a
does the fees for
discussion-
Lake Oswego go? Because they don't have a dog shelter.
And that is a discussion we can have with our city partners about a dialogue about financing. But
I guess this is a huge question for me before I say, yeah, here's some funding.
You did?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, Gary.
On that thought, it's about enforcement, and how strict do you want staff to be on enforcing dogs that aren't households that aren't licensing dogs, similar to code enforcement. We can go knock on every door in Clackamas County if you want, then you'll get a lot of constituents calling you then too. Why are you in my backyard? Why are you big brother? Anyway, so I put you in a terrible position, commissioners, and I'm sorry for that. However, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. To reframe what Commissioner Savas said earlier, there are some legal settlements you've recently discussed in executive session that we cannot discuss publicly, but including those, other things on the horizon, you are at least $2 to $3 million in the red already, which our forecast is now in the red for 30 years, which you've also directed me to make sure it's in the black. So whether you say no today, you're going to say no later, whether it's to these two departments or other departments. I hate being this way, and I'm sorry to put you in the position. The easiest way is to say no. To say no to these two requests, because if you don't say no, you're going to be in the hole in 8 months from now. You make a tough decision today, you make a tough decision later. However, it's hard when they're sitting right here, and these are two really important programs. These both are unfunded mandates, which is an ongoing issue we have as counties, you know that. So I'm sorry, but this is just the beginning, and you're already in the red.
Just a comment, a question for you I was talking to some of the other counties and trying to understand kind of how they're funding. So it does sound like in some of the other counties, they're kind of pushing back to the state to fund the advocates. Do you know, is what you're kind of, I guess I'd like to know what you think on the state level. Is that working to get the funding there or not?
We've got the short session coming up, of course, and I believe there will be a push. I'm not part of that legislative committee, and Carrie, feel free if I'm misstating something to speak up. As far as the, I think there is going to be a push in the state legislature, but, and I would be hopeful that they would recognize our need for additional funding. I mean, this has seemed to be a priority as of late when it comes to crime victim funding. I mean, who's against funding crime victims? And making sure that they get their restitution paid, that they have an advocate on call 24/7 to report to the hospital when they've been sexually assaulted or beaten by an intimate partner, or compiling restitution information, being available 24/7. I mean, that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of effort, and it takes a lot of people, and it takes a lot of qualified people, because our advocates have a very special skill set. But kind of going off from your primary question, I do think there is going to be a big push in the legislature as well, that, to your question earlier, that will hopefully get us past June. Like I said, it's not like, we're just, if we get this funding from the county today, we're not just going to throw up our hands and say, well, okay, well, then we're just going to end in June. We're going to keep fighting for that, because it's that important to our office, and because it's that important to the community.
Thank you. Commissioner West, I think.
Yeah, I do want to comment on VOCA. I spent the last comments, of course, on the dog issue, but we have more than one funding ask here. Just, because we use a lot of acronyms, and for the public's knowledge, VOCA stands for the Victims of Crime Act. And my question to you is groups like Safety Compass, would they be directly impacted by whether or not we fund this? Or is that, because I know they also have been recipients from the state, or is this just a very narrow ask for where the county intersects with VOCA?
I think it's more the latter. As I sit here, I'm not familiar with Safety Compasses. I'm very familiar with Safety Compass, but not as familiar with their funding mechanisms and how or if it's tied to VOCA.
They wouldn't be funded through this revenue ask.
Oh, no.
This is specifically the VOCA intersection with the DA.
This is 100%
But this spreads much larger than just like our county issues with this. There's
Exactly, yes.
lots of victims organizations that are being devastated by this funding
Exactly.
decision.
If you bifurcate the issue, this ask is specifically for advocates in our office. But when it comes to federal and state funding, primarily federal funding, it is impacting a number of organizations who provide victim-based services, not only in Oregon, but everywhere. I know CWS has been impacted, and Safety Compass is, I believe, being impacted. I'm more familiar with CWS's impacts, which were significant. I think they had to lay off half their staff.
Yeah, I recently had a meeting with a group of, like Safety Compass and others that were devastated by this funding that didn't come from the state. I mean, the state makes funding priorities where they would like to send money. VOCA this cycle, backfilling that was not one of them. I had a number of meetings with state representatives on both sides of the aisle that are really, really concerned and upset by this, and they advocated for at least $10 million to try to help backfill that. And the legislature did not do that. However, the Willamette Falls Trust got $45 million plus for former Governor Kate Brown, so that's interesting. But sometimes it's perplexing what the legislature decides to prioritize, or what friends of the legislature decide to get money, because they have the ability to advocate for themselves, where victims often don't, and that's why they need these funds. So it's really wide-reaching, the issue that we face here. Colleagues, just looking at this, I'm open to figure out where to help fund VOCA. I am less likely, until my question is answered, to figure out how to fund dog services, because I think there's revenue left on the table, knowing how we could potentially get that revenue through licensure fees and whatnot, and appropriately like having a better penetration rate on how we do that. I'm not saying I wouldn't be a yes vote on that, but I would like to know like where we can make that more sustainable based on capturing some of those licensure fees better. I don't know if and I'll take feedback, but that's my initial thoughts right now. If I'm misguided, some of you are more experienced than me, please tell me, but that's my initial feelings.
Commissioner Salas?
Yeah, thanks. Well, I had my light on for quite a while, and I wanted, when you were your last round, when you had your light on, and then this round, I wanted to reply, but we're past that. So I'm trying to regroup and go back to what Gary's comments were. I'd look at this, we have a choice of just saying, no, we can't fund it. We got to make the call. We're going to make the call no matter what, right? Whether it's now or it's June or whatnot. I think if we're going to put the heat and the pressure on the state legislature, we have to do something, and there needs to be people complaining, and we're not going to complain if we fund it. There's not going to be as many people complaining because the state legislature will sit back, as they do on a lot of unfunded mandates, and say, oh, they'll fund it, they'll find a way. And that'll put a lot of pressure on us in June. So we can either say no, say zero, or we can say half, and maybe it's a glide path, or come back with a plan in January, and we'll fund you to January and come back with a plan, or else it's zero. I mean, so to me, we have 3 or 4 different options, but I'm less inclined to say, yeah, go forward all the way to June, because that's not going to put the pressure on the state legislators and all the advocates that would want to, be lobbying in the short session.
Commissioner Schrader?
I hate to be the one to say this, but I don't see how we can move forward with funding right now for either one. I don't take any pleasure in this. I think if the pressure isn't put on the state to move forward with this and to give us the dollars we need for the programs they require us to serve, that we're not going to get anywhere. A compromise, Paul, maybe a compromise would be what you just described, and that would be partial funding until a certain date, but that's just putting everything on life support at this point. And I don't know what to say. It grieves me to have both of these programs gone, because I know what my daughter deals with. And I think that it's immoral for us to treat animals inhumanely, and I think that that's what's going to end up happening with pets on the street and other things happening. So this is the conundrum we're in here. And Gary, you've been pretty direct that if we can't find a solution, if we don't do something now, even if we do a stopgap, this is just going to prolong the pain. Is that a fair assumption on my part? Not your words, but my part.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right.
So unless there are any other solutions, I mean, I think there needs to be a public outcry for both programs, actually, too. I don't think that we're absolutely going to, our constituents who depend on these programs in a way where we really haven't done, I don't think the public, maybe this is what goes into public and government relations to our citizens, to let them know that this is pretty much the way of things, and to get their help in trying to convince the legislature and, quite frankly, the federal government that these are partnerships that are going to be destroyed and go away if we don't get some help.
Get Commissioner Hellman and Gary. Go ahead.
Just a reminder, so my first week was budget week. And these were put before us, budget week, and we denied them. We denied the extra positions in both departments. So to go back now and say yes, and then say no again later, it's like, it doesn't seem right. I feel for both of you, and where we're sitting here is not a real happy place. I'm inclined to partially agree with Commissioner West in that I would love to see if 2 employees for victims advocates would, if you could limp by with that versus 4. I'm inclined to partially support that. As for dog services, I think that we need to be asking cities for funds. If we're taking in their dogs, they're collecting the fees. I know the city of Happy Valley charges everyone who has a dog, and they go after those people who don't pay up. So maybe since we're taking them for the whole county, we start charging the cities as well. So I'd like to find other funding sources for that. But we did say no to both of these during budget, and it's tough right now. I agree with you, Martha. I don't like doing it either, but I also don't like being in the red. So we've got some other really big issues coming up that are looming. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed.
Thank you. Gary?
Okay, just one last thing for your consideration related to the district attorney's office. So the request of $341,000 is for 9 months of funding. If you were to do it for only 5 months of funding, which would be through February when the special session ends, I'm doing back of the napkin math, it's approximately $180,000. So a lower amount. You're telling the state, if you don't fund it, we're done. It buys time. But again, it just delays what may be the inevitable. But if the state steps up, or feds, then it could solve the program. Just an idea for you.
I could see that as a compromise. But my question is this, of how do we do that for dog control too? Because Diana is absolutely correct. The cities, if they're dropping their dogs off, this is a topic for C4. We need to start getting people in the know, the animals, shelter.
You don't. We've already cut. What I'm here to share with you is the fact that when you get calls, because we're not accepting dogs, you know why, and you're educated about that, and we can help respond to that. And if there's a discussion around city funding we want to have, and the board has interest in that, we can have that dialogue and move that discussion forward.
All right. Commissioner West?
The VOCA thing is, I don't know if we're capturing like how detrimental this is to public safety and the community and victims. Like, we gotta like find the place to hold our ground, but we can't cut it. It can't. It is, I don't know how to express what I'm feeling, but we gotta figure out a stopgap at least. We can't, in 3 weeks, lose this staff and pretend like we can recover from that easily. We can't pretend like this isn't essential to like core missions of the county. The state needs to step up and do its job and fund things that should be the priority, and we can advocate for that. Gary, I like your idea, at least for us to try to like prioritize what's going to go on in the short session and make this a county priority. So I will support that, but it's not right. I don't know. It's not right to these victims to not have this available, and it's not right to our community. And we were expected to figure that out. So I don't want being in the red either, but I think we have to do at least Gary's suggestion.
If we can't backfill, but, I mean, you're saying we've already not backfilled you, so you're already in crisis and dog control that way, and those staff people are gone.
They have been released. Yes, we have removed those positions.
And so what would it take to stopgap them? Well, you don't, so you would just be left. But so the only option we have at the legislature is to basically say animal cruelty. How many of you are dog lovers? Are you going to help the counties do the job that we need to do to be humane to creatures that we depend on us?
I find that hard to believe with all the other discussions that are happening at the state level, that they would give us attention regarding that particular topic. I mean, we'd have to look at, again, we've already made the reductions. This is a discussion around service delivery and what we have, and the fact that the majority of the dogs that we will be caring for will be law enforcement. That's fine. We will be turning away strays, and we'll be turning away other law enforcement animals as well, if they are not what we consider high needs animals. And so, we'll probably do some restructuring in regards to the organization on kind of this not 50 shelter beds, but lower shelter beds, now with some adjustments in the staffing, retirements, et cetera.
And that would be a message to the public that if we don't get the revenue, this is what's going to happen to, as I said, creatures through no fault of their own oftentimes are left treated cruelly, and again, it's a public health, and it is also a public safety issue.
Correct.
Because we do prosecute people who are inhumane to animals, and that we send our sheriff's office out, am I correct? Starving animals, starving horses, people hoarding animals, diseased,
We have
starvation.
a wide variety, including very vicious animals. We just got one a week or so ago. And our dog stays are from 12 minutes to 166 days. depending on what the scope and scale of the need is. So, again, and it's really awkward being up here having discussions with the DA and the Human Services, and so it's not, we hear you, we hear the discussion in regards to our topic. We'll have a dialogue with the cities. I don't mind having that dialogue whatsoever if the board's directing us to go do that. I will say the licensure is dead on arrival, and I'm sorry to say that. We try the sentencing, or the citations thing, we try and try and try and try and try. And it's a difficult proposition, but other funding sources, if that's a discussion the board wants to have, we can have that dialogue and through a number of different mechanisms, so.
All right, thank you. I just want to say I've had the opportunity to work with Carrie Walker sitting in the back there, and she is a champion for advocates, so I know how much wonderful work they do. The unfortunate fact is, as Gary's kind of said, we are like upside down financially, and so it's, boy, it's not a great position to be right now up here, I'll just tell you. And I think that it's kind of our job to get out there and try and rally, be creative to come up with some funding sources. You know, I think that, you know, I would be willing to kind of buy us some time. Like as Gary said, the 5 months, $180,000. We start working with PGA really hard on trying to do what we need to do in this upcoming short session to rally kind of support for it, because I do see the value of victims assistance, and I think I can appreciate you making all the cuts already. I think that it's also kind of incumbent upon us to think outside the box, to kind of be creative. I think right now, I don't have an answer for you on that, so I'd honestly probably have to say we're going to have to stay the course and look at some other options and be creative. So I want to switch to my colleague, Commissioner Savas had a comment, and then Commissioner.
Yeah, so, you know, Gary, we went through a lot of painstaking cuts just to make sure we could cover the courthouse. So we've really, the fat's gone, right? There is no fat, right? Commissioner West, there are no easy decisions. They're all going to be painful like this. They're all going to be different. And the longer we wait, the bigger that gap is. And if there's no means to backfill it, it's gone. This money is just gone. So we're going to have, if there's not a plan to replace it, right, then again, that money is just flat gone. I suggest that we do something in the middle, whether it's Gary's idea of 5 months or January 31st or something like that, or funding that gets us that far. Just force the issue and put it on the backs of the state legislature.
All right, so is there, oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hill.
I just have one question. Do our surrounding counties provide this same dog shelter service?
Surrounding counties have different funding scenarios for their different shelter services and different scope of services they provide. So not all shelters are, like, I'm not sure who quoted that, not all counties are the same. Not all shelters are the same. Some provide more expanded services beyond just dogs. So for example, Multnomah County, I believe, is there's an animal shelter, so they take in cats, et cetera. Washington County, likewise. I don't know the specifics about how all those folks are funded. If they get other funding streams beyond, I mean, our funding's pretty clear cut. It's general fund or it's fees and fines.
Right, so, but they do have shelters?
Yes,
They do.
pardon me.
I was just like sorry.
Yes, yes, I'm sorry,
Yes or no,
yes.
they do have shelters.
Yes.
How they fund is, how they, we're not sure how they're run, so, okay.
So we're probably at a point of either making a motion or taking a break.
Chair, I move that we
Wait,
one
so if you make a motion, please make it that you will fund, for the district attorney's office, you will fund the 4 victims assistance positions through February 28, 2026. Don't give a dollar amount because I don't have the exact number. I don't want to put us in a box. So I suggest the motion, you will fund the positions through February 28, 2026.
Chair, I move that we fund the district attorney VOCA positions through February 28, 2026.
Second.
All right. So Commissioner West has made a motion that we fund the 4 positions through February 28th, 2026. Been seconded by Commissioner Savas. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk, would you please call the poll?
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Helm,
Aye.
Commissioner Savis,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Gary?
Commissioner Savis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Getting back to dogs, I like what Commissioner Helm suggested. So, and I'm taking these one at a time. I think that we ought to be consistent in how we approach these things and not just drop the bomb suddenly. So I would like to give either a transition period and a notice period to any further reduction of dog services, okay? So I don't know what that looks like. And I don't know if it's February 28th or whatever that date is, but I think we ought to be consistent that we're in a and then once that day comes, it's done, right? Unless there's a way to recover or new monies or new funds or a plan, right, to make up for those dollars. So is February 28th a target? Is that I'm not suggesting, any one particular mode, but I don't know what gives you, but I like what Commissioner Helms said. Maybe we should contact the cities, let them know that it's going to go away. And are there opportunities for them to help contribute to keep it going?
Let's start. So it's a totally different scenario from the DA's office. It's already done. These cuts have already been made. The services are already reduced. Dan's asking to reinstate 2 positions to bring it back up. I'm sorry, respectfully, Dan, I'd rather you say no today to dog services, but have Dan and me and staff come back to you. Here are other revenue options we have to bring it back up, but it means other people have to contribute. And then
Okay.
see what happens.
All right. I'll leave it there. No action then, is what you're saying.
Sorry, Dan.
And then
It's fine.
and I think the cities might say it's been delegated as the county's responsibility and they don't want to do it.
Doesn't matter.
It's
They-
not worth.
They collect fees for it. Why?
They don't need
As you
to.
said,
no.
but,
Just use it for something else.
Commissioner Schrader?
Yeah, I'm not willing to give up on the dogs. I mean, I really don't. I think we have to be humane towards these. And people, I mean, we've all seen dogs and cats as well abused, all kinds of things. And so I would be willing to kind of make this a major issue with whoever we need to talk to in this county to make sure we address this issue in a way where we just can't let.
And we'd appreciate any assistance the board and other members of the board may provide to meeting with other jurisdictions and talking about costs and what that might look like. And the county administrator and myself can sit down and put our brains together about what that might look like to at least fund some minimal positions. Again, I'm making sure Chris, this is water under the bridge. These cut reductions have been made. We are talking to you about service levels that we have right now. So in case you get a call or you get an inquiry, number one. Number two is the fact that, I believe that we need to be more holistic and more funded to a different level. And we can look at other options and alternatives for that, but it's a difficult proposition that we put you in today because you're having to compare about 2 different human services versus dog services. But I would argue dog services are human services too. But again, thank you for your time.
Agree with you totally. Yep. On that.
Is that good enough?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Commissioners.
Dan. All right, the last item is Commissioner Communications. We're over time, but that's the last item today.
If everybody's okay with it, could we put that off for today?
Tired now.
All right, so with that being said, there's no matters. This concludes the administrator issues and updates, and on behalf of the board, thanks for joining us today.